Show with Tim Denis on News Talk 610 CKTB.
19 minutes past 7 o'clock, early on the Thursday edition of the show. Now, today is the 19th of May, so we're still smack in the middle of May and smack in the middle of a month where we are doing our level best to raise awareness, raise funds, and raise the morale over at the Niagara Children's Center, because this is the month that really means a lot to them, that this is where Niagara comes through for the Children's Center, because every day, 24/7, 365 days a year, the Children's Center comes through for us. Now, my guest this morning, Andrea, is the mother to Lucy, who is one of the incredibly beautiful ambassadors for the Help Kids Shine campaign this year. And Andrea joins me this morning. Before I go even further, Andrea or Andrea, whichever you prefer. I have friends who have both, and I just want to make sure that I refer to you the right way. Which one is it?
Andrea.
Okay. All right. I have a friend who's Andrea who insists that it's pronounced the other way. So, Andrea, welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about Lucy, and tell me about what happened in the beginning when Lucy came to the world and you were finding out more and more about her.
So our daughter Lucy is 2.5 years old. She was born 5 weeks premature at McMaster Children's Hospital. And one thing we knew about baby, because we didn't know gender, was that Lucy had a blockage in her stomach, which is sort of associated with trisomy 21, but not majority of the time. It's just a fluke, requires surgery when they're born. Babies are born with that. It's called duodenal atresia.
Okay.
And then, continue on, go home once they've recovered. But at birth, we also found out that Lucy has trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. And it was a shock to us. There was a part of me that kind of had a feeling something else wasn't right, but you trust the doctors and they're terrific at MAC. And so as a result of that, the surgery, as well as some of the obstacles that she had to overcome when she was born, we were in the NICU for 3 months. And so from the NICU is when we were referred to the Niagara Children's Center.
Yeah, because as wonderful work as MAC does, and trust me, I've had family members there. They do an incredible job, but at some point they come home, right? And you're dealing with something you had never heard of, duodenal atresia. I'm sure you had never heard of, but also finding out about Down syndrome and getting beyond what the general public thinks it is and having to deal with it on a daily basis must have been a little terrifying, thinking that you were going to be coming home and dealing with something that you had to learn about right from scratch, right?
Yeah, Down syndrome, I think most people are familiar with the diagnosis. If you see somebody, generally you can tell if a person has Down syndrome, certain physical features. And as a teacher, I've worked with many students with special needs, particularly with Down syndrome. But to be on the other side of it as a parent and to know the medical side that comes with Down syndrome. So in Lucy's case, she has cardiac issues, she has respiratory issues, the GI issue from the stomach blockage. So there were some hurdles that we had to overcome, like I said, and then have therapy, physiotherapy, occupational therapy to really help strengthen her body. Because as much as, we see people with Down syndrome day to day doing really well for themselves, there is a process to getting them to that point. And there is a lot that's required to, again, strengthen their bodies and to meet typical milestones, but not necessarily for them. It's easy.
Exactly. And there are potentials that the Children's Center can help you reach that you might not know about. What was the process like at the Children's Center for you? When you went there and told them what the situation was, what was the process? What was the experience like for you and for Lucy?
Well, we were discharged from the hospital February 25th, and then 18 days later, COVID happened. So we went from one extreme of hand sanitizing every time you handle the baby, staying clean at all times, to this other element where not only are we doing the same thing, but we can't go anywhere. So our first session with the Children's Center in May, we were able to meet with the baby. We were able to meet with the baby, and we were able to talk about the situation. And then we were able to of 2020 was virtual. And a lot of her appointments from that point forward were virtual. So for physio and occupational therapy consults, speaking with the social worker from the Children's Center. So our first in-person visit wasn't until about Christmas of later that year in 2020.
Wow.
Mhm.
Jeez, that's challenging. But the very fact that they're there and they continued to work through all of this must have
Yes.
been an awful lot to Lucy's development.
1,000%. And they were so supportive. My husband was working as well. And she's the youngest of three girls. So I would try to make sure my older two are elsewhere while I could just really focus on working with her team to, see where she's at. But again, they can't handle her because it's all virtual.
Yeah.
So, for example, our physiotherapist would use a doll to demonstrate some of the exercises and strategies to help strengthen her for physio. And while that was great, and they supplied videos and literature for us to refer to for a little, extra feedback, it just wasn't the same. But they did everything they could, and they were so compassionate and very patient. And they were interested in what our goals were based on what we were learning day by day with her.
And I hear this from parents all the time, that they are incredible with the kids, even through all of this, but they're also incredible with the families in dealing with the compassion necessary to talk to you because you're dealing with something that you've never dealt with before. And obviously Lucy is, and just the ability to talk to the families and the children as well. Andrea, what's Lucy doing these days? How's she doing?
Oh, she's a spitfire. She's 2.5 now. She is incredibly smart. I think smarter than we ever anticipated. Just in general, she's just very aware. She has her two older sisters, Chloe and Noelle, guiding her. She's in daycare, and she's doing great there. She's very strong physically, which again is something you don't expect because children with Down syndrome have low muscle tone,
Right.
but she is unbelievably strong. She's very funny and she's very loving, and she's just so curious and determined. And so even when we go in for physio sessions, she kind of pushes away the
Yep.
physiotherapist because she wants to do it herself.
Yep.
So which is great to see, but at the same time, we want to really harness some of that strength so that she can do some of the exercises properly, again, to help strengthen her muscles.
Little Miss Independence, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Andrea, thank you so much. Please give hugs to Lucy and from everybody here. And
Thank you.
thank you for taking the time to join us and share your story.
Thanks for having me.
Andrea and Lucy, two people that you need to know. You can find out more about them on their website. You can go to our website and find out. Lucy is an incredibly beautiful young ambassador for the Help Kids Shine campaign. Don't forget the plasma car races are coming up May 31st at the Gale Center. And you can find out how to become a monthly donor or a one-time donor just by going to our website at 610cktb.com and click on where it says Help Kids Shine. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to